What happens if you pour banana peel water straight into the soil around your peony? But I'm not talking about tossing a whole peel into the dirt and walking away. I mean a real prepared banana peel liquid, poured the right way at the right time. Some gardeners swear it's the secret behind the biggest, most jaw-dropping blooms they've ever grown. Others have tried it and watched their peony sulk, wilt, or barely flower at all. So which is it? Miracle feed or rookie mistake? Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what this liquid does inside your soil, and exactly how to use it so your peony rewards you with blooms your neighbors will be asking about. Before we dig in, if you're the kind of gardener who wants real tested results instead of vague internet rumors, hit that subscribe button right now. I share practical, no-nonsense growing tips like this every week, and you don't want to miss the next one. Let's start by pulling back the curtain on what's actually inside a banana peel, because that's where this whole story begins. A banana peel isn't just kitchen waste, it's a surprisingly concentrated little package of plant nutrients that the fruit itself doesn't use up. When you eat the banana, you're really only taking the sugars and a portion of the nutrition. The peel holds onto a huge share of the minerals the plant needs. The single biggest player here is potassium. Banana peels are loaded with it. In fact, potassium makes up a large percentage of the peel's mineral content, often more concentrated than what you'd find in the fruit's flesh. Potassium is often called the quality nutrient in gardening circles because it doesn't just help a plant grow bigger, it helps a plant grow better. It regulates how water moves in and out of plant cells, it strengthens stems, and it plays a starring role in how a plant forms flowers and manages energy. Right behind potassium, banana peels carry a meaningful amount of phosphorus. Phosphorus is the nutrient most associated with root development and flower or fruit production. It's the mineral that helps a plant convert sunlight into usable energy through a process tied to something called ATP. Think of it as the plant's internal battery system. Without enough phosphorus, a plant might grow plenty of green leaves but struggle to actually produce strong, abundant flowers. Banana peels also contain calcium, though in smaller amounts. Calcium is a structural mineral. It's what helps build strong cell walls, almost like the scaffolding inside a building. A plant with good calcium levels tends to have sturdier stems and more resilient tissue overall. Then there's a smaller but still valuable supply of magnesium. Magnesium sits right at the center of the chlorophyll molecule, the compound responsible for that deep, healthy green color in leaves. Without enough magnesium, leaves can turn pale or yellow between the veins, a classic sign of deficiency. Beyond the big minerals, banana peels contain trace amounts of micronutrients like manganese, sulfur, and small amounts of natural sugars and organic compounds. When you steep or ferment a peel in water, as those organic compounds also help feed beneficial soil microbes, the tiny organisms that break down nutrients into forms plant roots can actually absorb. In other words, banana peel liquid isn't just feeding your peony directly, it's feeding the living soil ecosystem that feeds your peony. What banana peel liquid is notably light on is nitrogen. It has some, but not nearly as much as its potassium content. This matters a lot, and it's the detail most people online skip right over, because as you're about to see, that low nitrogen, high potassium profile lines up almost perfectly with what a mature peony actually wants. Now let's talk about the peony itself, because understanding what this plant actually craves is what makes everything click into place. Peonies are woody, long-lived perennials. Some plants in a garden bed have been blooming reliably for 20, 30, even 50 years. That longevity tells you something important. Peonies aren't fast, hungry growers chasing rapid leafy expansion. They're slow, deliberate, energy-storing plants. Every year, a peony builds up a bank of stored energy in its root system, and that stored energy is what determines how many blooms you get the following spring. This is a crucial detail because it shifts the whole nutrient conversation away from more growth and toward better blooms and stronger roots. The nutrient peonies need most, especially heading into and through their blooming season, is potassium. Potassium is directly tied to bud formation, flower size, and the plant's ability to regulate water pressure inside its cells, which is exactly what allows those famously huge, heavy peony blooms to stand up straight instead of flopping over. A peony low in potassium often produces smaller flowers, weaker stems, and blooms that don't last as long once open. Right alongside potassium, peonies benefit enormously from phosphorus. Since peonies invest so much of themselves into root storage and flower production rather than rapid leaf growth, phosphorus's role in energy transfer and flower development is exactly what this plant is built to use well. Good phosphorus levels support strong root systems, which in turn support more vigorous blooming the following year. Peonies are famous for essentially planning ahead, storing this year's energy for next year's show. Peonies also want a steady, moderate supply of calcium, particularly because it supports strong stem structure, something every peony grower cares about, since those big blooms put a lot of physical strain on the stem. And a touch of magnesium keeps the plant's dense, dark green foliage looking rich and healthy through the growing season, which matters both for the plant's appearance and for how efficiently it's photosynthesizing. Here's the part that ties it all together beautifully. Peonies are notoriously sensitive to excess nitrogen. This surprises a lot of new gardeners because we're conditioned to think more nitrogen equals more growth equals better plant. But with peonies, too much nitrogen pushes the plant into producing lush, floppy, oversized foliage at the direct expense of flowers. You end up with a big leafy bush and disappointingly few blooms, sometimes almost none. Excess nitrogen can also make peony stems soft and more prone to flopping over or snapping, and it can increase susceptibility to certain fungal issues because of the extra soft, moist tissue. Now look back at what banana peel liquid actually offers: high potassium, solid phosphorus, some calcium and magnesium, and comparatively low nitrogen. That's about as close to a tailor-made profile for a mature peony as you'll find in a kitchen scrap fertilizer. The peony wants strong stems, big blooms, and healthy root energy storage, not a nitrogen-fueled leaf explosion, and the banana peel liquid's mineral balance happens to support exactly that. This is why so many experienced peony growers have quietly used banana peel liquid for years. The chemistry genuinely lines up with the plant's biology. Used the right way, banana peel liquid can genuinely support your peony through a few key benefits. You can expect the potassium boost to help produce firmer stems and larger, longer-lasting blooms. The phosphorus supports root energy storage, which can translate into a stronger flowering display the following spring. Remember, peonies are playing a long game. Many gardeners also notice a subtle improvement in overall plant vigor and leaf color, thanks to the trace magnesium and the way the organic material feeds beneficial soil microbes, improving how efficiently the plant absorbs nutrients already present in the soil. But, and this is important, banana peel liquid is not a more is better situation. Used incorrectly, it can cause real problems. The most common mistake is over-application, pouring it on too frequently, too concentrated, or in too large a volume. Even though banana peel liquid is gentler than most synthetic fertilizers, an excess of potassium can actually block a plant's ability to take up other essential nutrients, particularly magnesium and calcium, a phenomenon sometimes called nutrient antagonism. So, ironically, overdoing a natural fertilizer can create the exact deficiencies you were trying to prevent. There's also a real risk if the liquid isn't properly diluted or if it's applied directly onto the crown or stems rather than the surrounding soil. Undiluted or poorly fermented banana peel liquid can develop mold, attract pests, or create a sugary residue that draws unwanted insects right to the base of your plant. Applying it during the wrong season, which we'll cover shortly, can also push a peony into new soft growth at exactly the moment it should be slowing down, leaving that tender growth vulnerable to cold damage or disease. The bottom line, this is a genuinely beneficial, low-risk fertilizer when it's respected and applied correctly, but treating it carelessly, thinking it's just banana peels, how bad can it be, is exactly how well-meaning gardeners accidentally stress or weaken a peony that took years to establish. Here's exactly how to prepare and apply banana peel liquid so your peony gets the benefit without the risk. Step 1. Gather your peels. Use 2 to 3 banana peels per 1 liter, about a quart of water. Organic, pesticide-free bananas are ideal if you can get them, since you're steeping the actual skin. Step 2. Chop the peels. Cut them into smaller pieces, roughly 1-inch chunks. This isn't just tidiness. Smaller pieces have more surface area, which means the nutrients release into the water faster and more completely. Step 3. Steep or ferment. Place the chopped peels into a clean jar or container and cover them fully with water. You have 2 options here. For a quick version, let them steep for 24 to 48 hours at room temperature. This gives you a mild liquid feed. For a stronger version, let the mixture ferment for 5 to 7 days, stirring once a day and keeping the container loosely covered to let gas escape. Fermentation breaks down the peel further and increases nutrient availability, but it also produces a stronger smell, so keep it somewhere you don't mind that. Step 4. Strain the liquid. Once your steeping or fermenting time is up, strain out the peel solids using a mesh strainer or cheesecloth. You want a clear-ish, nutrient-infused liquid left behind. Compost the leftover peel solids, don't waste them. Step 5. Dilute before applying. This step matters enormously. Never apply the liquid at full strength. Dilute it at a ratio of 1 part banana peel liquid to 2 parts plain water. If you fermented it for the full week, lean toward even more dilution, 1 part liquid to 3 parts water, since fermented liquid is more concentrated. Step 6. Apply to the soil, not the plant. Using a watering can, pour the diluted liquid slowly around the drip line of the peony. That's the outer edge of where the foliage reaches, not right up against the crown or stems. For a mature peony, about 500 milliliters to 1 liter of the diluted mixture per application is a good amount. Avoid splashing the liquid onto leaves or flowers, as the sugars can attract pests or promote fungal issues on wet foliage. After applying, give the area a light watering with plain water. This helps carry the nutrients down into the root zone where they're actually useful, rather than letting them sit on the surface. That's the entire process. Simple, but each step plays a specific role in making sure the nutrients help rather than harm. Timing is where a lot of well-intentioned gardeners go wrong, so let's get this exactly right. When not to use it, avoid applying banana peel liquid in late summer or fall, once your peony has finished blooming and is heading into dormancy. At that stage, you don't want to encourage new soft growth because it won't have time to harden off before cold weather arrives, leaving it vulnerable to frost damage. Also avoid applying it during periods of drought stress or extreme heat, since a stressed plant's roots are less able to take up nutrients efficiently, and adding fertilizer at that moment can actually add further stress rather than relief. Skip application on freshly transplanted or newly divided peonies for their first few months. Let them focus on establishing roots in undisturbed soil first. And never apply it to waterlogged or poorly draining soil, since the roots are already struggling for oxygen, and adding more liquid-only compounds the problem. The ideal time. The best window is early spring, just as new shoots are emerging from the ground, and again in early summer, right as flower buds are forming, but before they open. These 2 moments align perfectly with when the peony is actively building the energy reserves and structural strength it needs for blooming, exactly where potassium and phosphorus do their best work. A light additional application right after blooming finishes, while the plant is still active and rebuilding its root reserves for next year, can also be beneficial. Reapplication schedule. Once you've started, apply the diluted banana peel liquid every 3 to 4 weeks during the active growing season, from early spring through the end of the blooming period. That's typically 2 to 3 applications total per year for a mature peony. Resist the urge to apply it more frequently than that. Peonies are slow, steady feeders, and giving the soil time to process each application actually produces better results than a rushed, frequent feeding schedule. So how long until you actually see something happen? In the first 1 to 2 weeks, don't expect fireworks. What you're looking for is subtle but meaningful. Leaves may take on a slightly deeper, richer green, and new shoots often look a touch sturdier and more upright. By around 3 to 4 weeks, especially if you applied the liquid during bud formation, you'll likely notice stems holding themselves up straighter and buds looking plumper and more robust than in previous seasons. This is the potassium and phosphorus doing their quiet work on stem strength and flower development. The real payoff, though, shows up at bloom time. Many gardeners report noticeably larger flower heads, stems strong enough to hold those heavy blooms upright without staking, and blossoms that seem to hold their shape and color a few days longer than usual. And because peonies store energy for the following year, the full effect often compounds, meaning next year's blooming season can look even better than this year's, assuming you keep up a sensible, well-timed feeding routine. So there you have it. Banana peel liquid isn't magic, and it isn't nonsense either. It's simple chemistry meeting simple biology, a potassium-rich, low-nitrogen liquid meeting a plant that's practically built to use exactly that. Get the dilution right, get the timing right, and don't overdo it, and you'll be rewarded with stronger stems, bigger blooms, and a peony that just keeps getting better year after year. If this helped you look at your garden a little differently, do me a favor and hit subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I'll see you in the next video with another simple trick that actually works.